So we have the doubleheader with Italy to wrap up the season. One match in the barn. What's stuck in your head?
Well, John, I thought it was a really impressive performance from the U.S. women. I think most importantly, they continued the trend of scoring early, which
Hmm.
means that if you're going to watch the game at a bar or you're like, oh, I'm racing home, you got to get there and sit down in front of the TV, during the TNT or TBS pregame show, because otherwise you're missing vital pieces of information from these games. And I was guilty of that. I sat down. I'm like, okay, we're about 5 minutes late. I'll be all right. Holy crap, we scored. And so from that standpoint, I think that is, if you want to talk about things from a friendly that you can actually take and say, okay, this is something we maybe have learned. That's been a consistent theme this fall. And if they can continue that, however long they are under Emma Hayes and with this crew, that is a strong trend to carry with you.
Yeah, Emma Hayes was asked about the season in the the in-betweeners and the MD -1s and the MD -2s. And she was kind of asked to recap 2025 on the whole. And she went from like January all the way through, and 3 minutes and 45 seconds later, she had recapped the year. And I'm sitting there going, okay, well, I can't use that entire soundbite. But what she did do was focus on elements of, okay, learning about what she was looking to do philosophically and finding out where and not having the losses get to you, and learning about what she wants to do and not have it be about 1 through 11 but 1 through 25 or 30, and have a unified message across the board. Doesn't matter who you bring in, the players that you do bring in, you want them to have the message and the philosophy, capital T, capital M, capital T, capital P, brought forward, and then you end up with the lessons learned from all of that. When you look at 25 from beginning to end as we get into this last match of the calendar year, what are some of the things that have stuck with you about this group and about this path that the women's national team have been on here in 2025?
Well, I think first thing that sticks out about 2025 is the amount of new faces brought into this program. And I think that is a great testament to Emma. I do want to draw a parallel to the last time we talked about the U.S. men's national team and Mauricio Pochettino. I feel like, John, their messages are the same, but one's written in a nice, you know, curly font and addressed nicely to you, and the other one is like in just all caps, punching you in the face. Because I think that's the goal for both of them is they want to inject competition into their squad that's not just there for training camp, but overall, top to bottom, whoever has a wish to be part of the U.S. men's or women's national team. But for Emma, it is, I think, the thing that she has a luxury here is that she is 2 years from the World Cup. So for her, this experimentation does seem a little bit more logical, a little bit more necessary, even because that, on top of the fact that I don't know if you saw recent pictures of Sophia Wilson's new baby, it is adorable. But obviously, she and Mal Swanson and others are away on raising children duty and other injuries that kind of creeped into the team. Tanner Davidson obviously being out as well. So she kind of has the luxury of the excuse to do it. But that in the plan is obviously okay. Well, we have 2 years to prepare for a World Cup. You don't know who's going to be healthy, who's going to be fit, who's going to be available by that time. And so, top to bottom, you need players who are not just talented but understand the system. Because talent is great, but if you're not playing within the system, if you're not playing with your teammates, it's not going to really help us all that much. So the fact that she's trying her best to get as many players into this group, this program as possible, who deserve it, by the way, um, is a really positive thing going forward.
This is tonight, 7 o'clock at the Erector Set. It's going to be on TBS and HBO Max, Peacock.
God,
What?
I drove by the new stadium yesterday.
Uh-huh.
Sorry, I got on the ground reporting here, John.
Sure thing.
It looks great. I can't even knock it. I can't. I mean, especially when you compare the fact that what next, well, I guess this week technically, but on this weekend they're going to be playing an MLS Cup final in a temporary stadium
Yep.
with PGA Tour risers in the end zone corners.
Mm-hmm.
It looks nice, John. It looks nice. It is very noticeable from the road, which was I think the thing that stuck out for me. It looked big. I know it's only 25,000, but it looked
Mm-hmm.
imposing. So congrats to them. I guess I know we don't love them, but like, hey, I am pro having good soccer specific stadiums in this country. Not what we're going to be in tonight.
Yeah, it's still too small when it comes to capacity. And I know that you only have a certain height that you can raise to because of the flight path into MIA, but it's still, when it comes to capacity, it's still too small. 12th ranked Euro semifinalist 3-0 goal from Olivia Moultrie. Second half brace Kat Macario. USA 11-3 in 2025. Italy 11-4-1 with 16 matches all time between the two countries. You look at this grouping, and let me go through the roster quickly. You have Dickey, McGlynn, and Silkowitz available in keeper. Defenders, you have 10. Bug, Fox, Girma, Patterson, Lily Real, Izzy Rodriguez, Emily Sams, Emily Sonnet, Kennedy Wesley, and Kate Wiesner. Croy Bethune, Sam Coffey, Lindsay Heaps, Jalen Howell, Claire Sutton, Rose Lavelle, Lily Johannes in the midfield. Jimmy's Joseph, Kat Macario, Olivia Moultrie, Emma Sears, Jaden Shaw, Alyssa Thompson. 27 debuts in 29 matches for international debuts under Emma Hayes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that roster you just read out has a good mix of really experienced players, which mostly were on the field Friday night. Um, and it was that stat came across the U.S. Women's National Team Twitter account, and it really was nice to see. Again, that concerted effort to bring players into the program. But tonight, John, specifically, I do wonder how much rotation will happen, mainly because this is I really do. If I'm Emma Hayes, and I'm not, she's way smarter than me and knows way more about soccer. But if I'm her, I do really want to try to get a Germa Sam's or Germa and Bug partnership. What we love Emily Sonnet, and she obviously was a huge piece in Gotham winning and WSL championship. But I think if you're just smart, and again looking ahead 2 years in the future, Emily Sonnet is on the wrong side of 30, unfortunately. And I just see the Sam's Germa or Sam's Germa Bug, something of that combo. I see that as being a really strong back line in the future, however you deploy it. And I really would like to see Germa and Sam specifically tonight. But if not, Germa and Bug, and who knows? I don't know if Germa will play a lot because of coming back from injury. We know how those European clubs love to tell Americans they're not allowed to play in matches, but if a European player does it, they're lauded for it. But I really do want to see a continuation of strong partnerships on the field. So it may not always be the best complete roster or lineup tonight, but I do want to see a strong center back pairing. I loved what we saw in the midfield last night. I mean, or Friday night. Sam Coffey was really productive because she had more of a stay-at-home midfielder behind her in Claire Hutton. That type of part, maybe Howell can do that. Maybe that's the experiment: is you keep Coffey and you see if Howell can do it or something like that. But I do want to see strong partnerships tonight so that those relationships begin to form. I know Jason loves to talk about relationships on the field, societies on the field, and I think if we can continue to build that a little bit tonight as well, that would be what my goal heading into 2026 would be: is have some really good established partnerships and understandings on the field.
One of the things that, with all of the gnashing of teeth and wringing of hands and biting of nails, you would have thought that Emma Hayes would be worse than 24-3-2 in her first 29, but she's 24-3-2 in her first 29.
Well, I mean, she hadn't lost a game until this year. Um, I think, firstly, it was kind of weird for her to come in uh, right before the Olympics, where the goal was obviously win a gold medal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that I think was. I know she said her goal was to kind of get the players used to her and her used to the player and all these. No. The goal is when the U.S. women enter a tournament. The goal is to win. And Emma understands that. I think she's smart enough to both coach it and explain it. Where like, yeah, we've got two things going on here, but the goal is to win. So now that we are, John, in a more exploratory period, the losses to me, we lost to Brazil. They're a darn good soccer team.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I think the loss to Portugal was frustrating, but not again. I think if anything, you learned a lot from that game from some of the experienced veterans if they're able to cut it anymore. To be quite honest, so in losses you learn more, and that's been a problem for I think several iterations of the national team is outside of She Believes Cup because of a lot of things that Europe has done to kind of maximize. We know how UEFA loves to maximize competition against UEFA teams. The past couple cycles, it's been hard for the women to get really solid friendlies scheduled outside of She Believes Cup. And so to be able to this year actually get some really solid friendlies against top 30, top 20, top 15 opponents, it does, it means you're going to lose a game or two, especially if you're not playing your best players.
What?
I know, but that's okay in the sense that you have to learn things.
Mm.
And I know every coach will say you learn more from failures than you do success, and that is, I think, maybe a way to soften the blow. But I do think in these, it was not necessarily the loss that taught us stuff, but those performances in the losses that showed you what we needed to improve upon. Players that maybe can't cut it, sometimes players who can cut it, and those are good lessons to learn for again a coach who is looking at 2 years ahead of time, not I got to win this next match, right? And that is, I think, for Emma, the change in mindset because when you go from a club standpoint, right, especially if you're at Chelsea, your goal every single time you step out on the field is I have to win. Yes, you have some preseason friendlies and stuff like that you might experiment with, but that's not the bulk of the job. When you're on a national team coaching job, the bulk of your job is friendly, right? Which mean a lot, and you go to compete when you're out there. But as a coach, you are setting yourself up, your team up, to either experiment in one way or shape or form, try out a different player, try out maybe a commitment to a certain type of tactic. Um, it, it's okay that you lose. I think that's always been my thing. Is results and friendlies aren't the most important thing. It's the performances and then what you can take from those performances. And I think that yes, I agree. There's been gnashing of teeth and like, oh my gosh, we lost. Yeah, we lost to a friendly uh, against a decent enough team. That's going to happen when you're playing decent teams. But the fact that we're able to hopefully take lessons from that is the real gold here.
USA and Italy tonight, 7 o'clock, TBS and HBO Max. Peacock in Spanish on the radio and English on Westwood 1, and on Football de Primera in the audio form in Spanish. And once again, it's the last match of the year. 11-3-0 in 2025, leads Italy 11-4-1 across 16 matches in the all-time series. Next week when you come on, I do want you to break out the U.S. Soccer High School Yearbook for 2025.
Yes.
And I want to know who's who just got the librarian to sign it and say you're a great student. Thank you for returning everything on time. I want to know who most likely to succeed. Miscongeniality, all those kinds of things. I want to go through the yearbook next week when we will have done everything that has gone on in U.S. soccer, MNT, WNT, etc. And we can even go into the U's if you want to next week. But I do want to talk about Friday and what it means to the universe of basically soccer here in this country. I mean, it is technically a generational thing, and somewhere in my stacks, I've got the 1994 original stuff. I still, I know it exists someplace in my wardrobe closet when they had really cool stuff, and I bought it, in 1995 because it was on special. And I've still got it to this day. And they were ahead of the curve when it came to making wardrobes and gear. So when you look at Friday, and I asked Abe this question, and we'll think about it obviously this week. But when it comes to this generational day in the history of the sport, and I don't think I'm underselling it, I don't think I'm overselling it. When you look at Friday, what does this mean, A, to Atlanta, the home of U.S. soccer now, as the world is coming in 7 months to this country, to this hemisphere? What is it going to be for you, considering that you cover the sport for the, Soccer for USPOD, and you've gone to matches and you've done, what is Friday going to mean to you and everyone in your circle?
Oh, I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't really paused to think about it that way, and that's my resolution for 2026. By the way, be a little bit more appreciative of the moments I'm experiencing, because I tend to, John, maybe as you know, when you're doing all the things in the moment and leading up to the moment, you sometimes forget that the moment is special.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but I think specifically, I have to talk about me personally and just remember that I'm a kid who started playing this game at 4 years old at Briscoe Park in Snellville, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I've been playing this game for now 32 years. You can do the math on how old I am. I remember soccer being just the sport that the kids would play because it was fun and they could run around and come home tired and you get a little juice box and an orange slice, before and after the game. The amount, and this is going to make some people mad because they love to just hate on U.S. soccer.
Mm-hmm.
Well, soccer in the U.S. anyway. The amount the sport has grown since I started participating in it 30 plus years ago. The amount it's grown in the last 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
John, is incredible. And
I mean,
I think,
shoot, we're an example of it and how it's grown in the last 10 years.
I mean, Atlanta United especially, right? If you would have asked me, would Atlanta ever support a team like this, I would have probably said back in 2010, no, probably not. I think it would get good turnout. But you're telling me we're setting attendance records, putting 42.5 in the bins every single time every time a good team plays. Um, and that I wouldn't have believed that. And the fact that we're seeing so many teams pop up around the country, we're seeing the rise of USL, and a great attendance numbers there. Shout out One Knock. Um, I just don't think people outside, and this is where I'll be a little negative. I think people outside of the U.S. and a lot of people inside the U.S. they see this World Cup as just a grift, right? There's so much talk about hospitality packages and ticket prices and all these things about money, money, money. And it sucks, I'm not going to lie, right? It sucks that this is not an affordable World Cup for anyone. But at the same time, this is a World Cup that I think the structures in place may not be taking advantage of it the way they probably should. I think that's fair criticism. But I think the people, John, who are involved in soccer, which is the heartbeat of the sport, as a former manager of Atlanta United said, football es de la gente, right? Football is for the people, is of the people. That I think is going to see exponential growth even after this. It's going to recapture the love for some people. It's going to ignite new fondness that people who maybe haven't touched the sport before will see. And the fact that the draw happens is just really exciting because number one, we get to figure out who we're playing. Right? That is overall, U.S. gets to learn their opponents. We're going to learn which teams are coming to Los Angeles and Seattle. We're going to learn which opponent we're going to be most concerned about, maybe all three. But then you bring it home to Atlanta, and you get to think about, oh man, I get to watch X team versus Y team on this date, maybe if you can get a ticket. That is fun, and then you get to think about, oh man, this I'm really hoping it's Scotland. John, I hope, and I know Jarrett will come home for it. I hope we get Scotland, right? I want to see what Flower of Scotland looks like and sounds like in the match,
Mm-hmm.
right? We get to start dreaming about that after Friday, and that's really special. But I just think overall, John, this World Cup for me will be more about the people than it is about the power,
Mm-hmm.
because we work daily. There's millions of us in this country who work daily to make this sport a better place, a better sport, and a better environment for anyone to participate in. And that is what I hope and what I see happening after this World Cup is just way more people getting involved in understanding the love that we have for this game, the benefits it provides them, not just physically, but as I've seen socially. And hopefully, this is something that can really help kick off a golden age of soccer in this country um, as it kicks off on Friday.
Yep, and we'll have all of the coverage for you. Like I said, I will be kicking us off at Bench Warmers. It'll be a morning show there. I don't know how open they'll be, but I'll be inside, and we'll be there with Decatur Watch Fest, and then everything's going to get kicking there like 11:30-ish when we're like off the air and getting you ready for everything as we go. Then Maddie and Jason, they will be at Brew House, and we'll be off and running for the entire day when it comes to looking at previewing everything, getting you ready for the draw, the post, efforting special guests from around the planet, and we'll see what it all lines up for on Friday. It's going to be a big day for us and a big day for soccer. Okay, cards and calls. And there's one in particular that I wanted to get into, and it does come from your beloved Gooner. That match, not necessarily an Arsenal moment, but from incidents that happened there. Specifically, where Enzo Maresca was frustrated about a lack of consistency when it came to cards and reds and things like that. So we'll break it down. So last month, Betancourt gets a book for a foul on Reece James. VAR agreed with it. So then Caicedo was cautioned for a challenge on Marino. You had an intervention on the weekend and a red card. Maresca asked, quote, "It's a red card, but why was Betancourt's against Reece James not a red when we were at Spurs away?" So us as a manager, we struggle to understand why they judge in a different way. Moises is a red card, yes. Betancourt's is a red card, yes. Why don't they give him a red card? It's just that we struggle to understand. The reality is that it's a red card, but why do they judge it differently? And this is from our friend Dale Johnson. Partly dependent upon who the VAR is, which makes consistency very difficult. You can't have unified VAR in the booth every single time. So you have VARs and AVARs implementing a philosophy interpreted differently from who's sitting in those chairs. No two fouls are ever the same, according to Dale. Subtle differences between the two. Betancourt was only really stepping in. Caicedo jumped a little. Contact point slightly higher. Also a pronounced buckle of Marino's ankle, something VAR is looking for to indicate excessive force. Boot was shifted back on the turf. In Betancourt's case, key match incident panel supported the yellow for Betancourt 4-1. Unanimously backs no VAR intervention. KMI panel will back the decision to send off Caicedo, but it will not be too long before another tackle deemed a yellow card. So of the Caicedo red, what kind of stuck in your brain from this?
Well, I mean, look, it's a red card. It
Yeah.
just is. And I do like Dale's breakdown of looking at it from, when we're red cards are serious foul play, excessive force, right? So again, when we kind of break down the steps of what a foul is, you have careless, reckless, excessive force. So careless being the common foul, reckless meaning that's a yellow card, and then excessive force is a red card. So in this case, serious foul play is what the red card is given for because of, as Dale pointed out, excessive force. There was a jump, there was a high speed, there was I like him kind of breaking down the Marino's ankle actually buckling. It wasn't just, oh, a guy stepped on me and it hurt. It was, this was used with more force than should be used. Um, and I do think, John, to some extent, and this is my commentary on the game. The game itself, if he wants to talk about consistency, he's lucky Chelsea finished with 10 men because I thought Chelsea got away with a lot of just dirty tackles that maybe could have been elevated to red cards, possibly could have, Cucurella is lucky he stayed on the field. because he had another challenge after his yellow card that probably could have been a yellow card. So I get his frustration match to match, but again, the point is every foul is different, every situation is different. I do think in this game particularly, I like that the yellow card was given first because with VAR, we are allowed, especially for fouls like this, we are allowed to go back and say, okay, is this truly a red card or a yellow card? We can look at it. It's a lot like targeting in football, right? Which we could open up a whole nother can of worms about
Yeah.
consistent
Mm.
targeting in football, but they are very similar, right? Because we're talking about ejecting a player.
Yeah.
So I think I like giving the yellow card first. He says, yeah, that's a bad foul. We're giving it a yellow card, knowing that VAR, if needed, will look at it. I think it makes more sense to give a yellow card and upgrade to a red card than it makes to give a red card and downgrade to a yellow card because one, from a player standpoint, they just look a little shameful for having to go stand in the tunnel while they're waiting for their, and that it does, I think, look bad on the game a little bit, if you will, to have that. I think it makes more sense to give the yellow card with, saying, okay, look, yes, it was bad. We're going to try to keep all 11 players on the field or whatever we're at that point. Then you say, oh, no, this does look bad. Here's your red card. I do think that process makes more sense. So from this game, I thought it was good to give the yellow card first. It was a very physical game. Apparently, when Arsenal defends a lot, plays a little bit more aggressive, and hits on the counter, it's bad. But when other teams do it, it's great soccer. I don't know when that comes into play, but in this case, that was Chelsea's goal, right? You could tell Chelsea. I mean, they were playing with sometimes they had multiple times, especially in that first half, even with 11, they had five guys just immediately dropping to that back line, and their tackles were flying everywhere because it was I mean, this is number 1 and 2 in the league. It's gonna be a tough game. That's something as a referee coming into it. You go, man, Chelsea needs to win this game to be able to really challenge and make a statement that yes, we're here to challenge for top of the league. You know that. You also know the players. You know that Kukurea is, liable to do something silly every 5 minutes. Especially on the Arsenal side, you've got two center backs, in that are not your normal starters. So, you have to be a little more. And he gave multiple yellow cards to Arsenal players for the stopping a promising attack foul. You have to be in tune with that and understand how this game is going to play out. And I thought he did a good job of it for the most part, trying to keep as many people on the field as possible. Unfortunately for Caicedo, his challenge of kind of jumping onto a guy's foot, that's going to get you a red card. And it's funny that Reece James was the one arguing with the ref about it when his sister is wont to do this about every other game too. So there's my shot at Chelsea winning for the day.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a red card. But I think in the matter of the spirit of this game, I think the referee managed it okay in this regard because it's if you give a red card immediately there, I think all hell breaks loose. And I think if you can go to VAR and say, yeah, hey man, it's a red card. I think it just yes, there's going to be but like it's not the same as an immediate red card that could potentially cause other things to boil over. And yes, after that, Chelsea's going to want a red card every time the opponent breathes on them. I get it. That doesn't you're not given makeup red cards, you know. But in this sense of this game, I think the yellow card first made sense, especially because obviously both players were hurt. So for the referee standpoint, maybe it wasn't as bad as we thought it was. He said, "Oh well, okay, he's kind of hurt too." Now, do I think maybe he was playing hurt because he knew he was going to get a red card? Possibly, but you look at that, you go, "Okay, this is a yellow card." VAR is going to look at it, that, or hopefully they're going to look at it. If they don't, then you've made the right decision, and you as a referee just have to say, "I'm giving that a yellow card." Not sure. Wait for VAR to check it, and then you go, okay, thank you for your service. Here's your red card.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to going back-to-back yellows for dissent, what's your line?
Well, John, the line is the same line. If you're gonna first off, okay, to everyone out there, dissent is not going to make a referee change their call, period. Right? The call is the call.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go, oh, you swear you didn't touch the ball, or you didn't touch the player and you got a ball? I must have just been seeing something. Okay, fine. I'll take the yellow card.
I'm sorry. I erred in that.
That's not going to happen. Two, once you get a yellow card for dissent, which usually in this case means you said something naughty to a referee or very specifically said something about them and their refereeing to, like, there are words and phrases that are going to trigger a yellow card, right? Ref, that's, dog poop. Is one, that's not going to get you a red card. Now if you directly curse at a referee, like, love you, ref, that's going to be a red card, right? But if you say, oh, that's, loving poop, and you'll go, okay, well, here you go. Here's your yellow card for that. But once you get the yellow card, that's your cue to shut up. That just is. I mean, I've done this with players and coaches before. This is my little trick: is I'll start pulling out my card as they're talking to me. Especially, like, I had a coach a couple weeks ago who was trying to come onto the field. He was claiming he was trying to check out an injured player, and I was like, well, I didn't tell you to come on the field yet, and you're yelling at me while you're coming out on the field. So I start pulling out my card out of my top pocket, which is my red card pocket, and I said, Coach, I don't think you should come onto the field anymore. You need to get back. And he, took that as a sign to get back. The cards are meant to be visual symbols that you have crossed lines. And if you continue to step over that line,
Mm-hmm.
so I forget which game it was that we're talking about, but I remember seeing the meme on Twitter. And it's just like, bro, if you got a yellow card and you kept yelling at the referee, what did you think was going to happen? So honestly, once you get that yellow card, my patience, that is me saying my patience with you, we are done, right? It's, I don't know what the phrase is in your household, John, but in ours, it's something like, okay, then. And that's I would suggest you shut up and agree with me. um, and it's like, that's what I just told you. We're not arguing anymore. First off, we're not arguing with referees. Don't do that. I'm not here to argue with you, because every time anytime that a player comes to me, um, during the middle of the game, especially after foul, well, what did I do? And I say, well, you fouled him. Well, I didn't touch him. I got all ball. It's like, no, you kicked him. And then they continue to argue, and I'm like, okay, well, I've told you what you did. You're just arguing for argument's sake. We understand none of these are good faith, good hearted. They're just not. They're getting their complaints out, and that's why we allow it to a little bit, right? We allow for some dissent. Because look, I get it. You don't like being told that you did a naughty thing. Okay, say your piece, and we move on. But that's the thing. You're allowed to say your piece and move on. It's not say your piece and continue to say your piece and tell me that I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know the laws. My mom is terrible. My dad, hates me. All these things. You're not allowed to do that. And especially after you've been given a yellow card, you can't continue to do that. So I don't know exactly what was said in those moments, but if you're getting a double booked for dissent, that's a you problem. Don't ever try to blame the referee for that, because you have continued to talk when you have been told, hey man, I think you should be quiet right now.
Just thought I'd ask. I wanted to have that out there. So once again tonight, last match of the season for the USWNT, as they're at the Erector Set taking on Italy tonight. Once again, 7:00. It's going to be on HBO Max and all the WBD networks and Peacock as well. So I apologize that you had to struggle with the hotel Wi-Fi this morning and had to kind of do things a little sideways. But it's sometimes
the hotel with free Wi-Fi, John, you expect it to work.
I mean, I'm to the point where I use hotspots now. I'm just like,
I can't be too mad. I'm looking at the beach right now. So
there you go.
So I booked it in proximity. I will say that.
Yes. So enjoy the match tonight, my friend, and we'll catch up obviously next week when we'll know what the draw looks like, and we'll get out the yearbook and talk about everything from U.S. Soccer High School, and we'll break it all down next week. Thanks for dropping by. Have fun time tonight and get safe getting back here. Okay.